And
Thank you for
good,
the invitation.
absolutely good to see you.
You
So
too.
long time coming. I try to go through my phone and send to different people, and I know I haven't sent it to you before. I know I've mentioned it to
You've
you.
certainly mentioned it to
Yeah,
me
yeah,
before.
yeah.
There we go.
Thank you for
Good,
the invitation.
absolutely good to see you. Oh,
Stream
so
is
long time
live.
coming. I try to echoey. Yeah. Um. So since we're on, we'll start with the lovely folks we have with us tonight. Thank you all for joining. The theme was well, we're going to still maintain this theme. Is let's spread some Christmas joy, some holiday cheer. So I'll do a quick COVID check in, but mix in with that what you're thankful for during this time of year, what you're happy about, and what you're looking forward to despite our circumstances. I'll go last, so I'll begin with Greg and Julia. Miss Julia, you have the floor. Tell us what you're looking forward to in this holiday season, cheerfully.
Cheerfully. What I'm grateful for this year so far is all the new connections, like meeting you and Ebony, and all the new friends that we have met that we probably would not have met without being on lockdown. So grateful and hopeful that with people like you and allies that we're going to make a difference at a grassroots level. And that gives me a lot of hope. And thank you, Felton, for what you're doing in Merrill. And
Thank you. You always know just what to say. Go ahead, Greg.
You just said it. Can I just say ditto? She just knows what to say. Ditto.
Appreciate that, Greg. Danette, what do you got to look forward to? What are your holiday uh, well wishes and plans and purposeful things and what you got?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Danette. I live in Durham. I am looking forward to having very little on my plate for a few days. I've been pretty overwhelmed, and I have had this feeling for the last couple of days, like, oh crap, I'm supposed to like be somewhere and I forgot, or there's a deadline that I totally forgot, or there's something. And then I'm like, no, you're actually good right now. And that's a really good feeling. That is going to change really dramatically in January because I'm starting a new job on top of everything else that I have going on. Part-time, but still, a big commitment, an exciting one. But yeah, I'm going to relish my downtime over the next couple few weeks for sure.
Well,
your new job.
I'm sorry.
What is your new job?
What is my new job? I'm gonna be the part-time operations manager for a social justice organization that does solidarity work with farm workers and advocacy, solidarity work and advocacy with farm workers. And so I'm going to be like minus sort of a background, administrative, managerial kind of role that matters, but it's not the although I probably will get an opportunity to dive into some campaign and programmatic work when it's appropriate too, which would be nice, but we'll see.
Sounds very meaningful.
It really, thank you. I'm very much looking forward to it. I've been a student and like a sole proprietor, sort of just out here by myself doing my thing for many years. And so I feel like one of the things I'm most looking forward to is kind of being a part of a team and just that whole kind of collaborative energy and spirit. I think that's going to be really good for me.
yeah, Danette is pretty awesome in a space where there's multiple minds at work, and she's not necessarily looking at the same picture as everybody else, which is a wonderful way to be, especially when there's something to be explored and something to be answered, and it's not been considered a certain way. So I appreciate her from that perspective. Absolutely. You guys have echoed some of my sentiments, but Meryl, let me see if it's 3 for 3 tonight.
I mean, I guess the big thing is, we were just talking a little bit about I do a lot of work in health equity and community enrichment, and was sitting there talking to my colleagues today about how all of this work that we do, especially on the economic justice side, um, leads to healthy outcomes, man. You know, rich people, people that are wealthy are generally healthy. So I'm just trying to do as much as we can to make that happen. And one of the folks was talking about Abraham Lincoln said right before the eve of the Civil War when he was making his address about our union might be strained, but the hope was that we would appeal to our better angels. So I'm hoping it's going to happen this year.
Yeah, better angels. Just so you know, Danette, and I know Gregory and Julia probably already do. I do mute people sometimes when they're not talking. Definitely unmute yourself when you got something to say. It's just that it keeps the noise down and things of that nature. So, yeah, the echo that Julius shared. It's nice to meet people that are worth meeting despite these circumstances. And I'm appreciative to have been able to actually spend a little time walking in, what was it? I always say Renolda, but it's something. Is it Renolda? Yeah. The gardens with these two, enjoyed that. And Danette, it's been almost a year now. No, what was it? It was last spring. Yeah, it's always going on a year. Yeah, so we had a class together at UNCG, and I'm not ashamed or hesitant about sharing my information, because when you go through something like this, you need all the support you can get, and especially if it's in real time from somebody that's going through it with you, which brings me to where I identify with what Danette shared. A little bit of downtime, a little bit of time to not think, to not read something, just a little bit, because it's even though the break is supposed to be a little bit longer, there's always going to be something maybe I should look ahead, or maybe I should work on this paper that I want to present. So yeah, it's going to be something, but just nice to have a little decompression and clear mind time. Try to watch a movie and enjoy it. Things of that nature. So welcome. I don't know that anybody mentioned this loudly, but I'll say family is very, very important right now for me, that everyone's healthy. Some of my family members have experienced COVID and made it through it. I know a lot of us have not been as fortunate, but hey, I'm grateful for that also. And even if we're not in each other's presence this year, we're in each other's hearts. That's important. So with that being said, I have to begin with some more politics. And I was determined to kind of stay a little cheery and lighthearted, but 17 or 20 states now have decided to challenge the election. Yeah, so unprecedented times might be becoming an understatement, based on the fact that it's a relentless attempt each and every day to create a reality, despite what has seemingly presented itself as reality. I don't understand or know what comes next, because there seemingly is always something, no matter what. I am going to play a clip that I hope explains everything, but it's almost like predicting a storm, right? A tropical storm. You know how every 5 seconds the weather person's saying is, going back out to sea, and then it's like, oh no, it's turning into a category 2. It's turning in the direction we were not expecting. So this whole situation is seemingly not predictable. Nothing that has made sense before is making sense now. And the people that have been elected to office and sworn oaths seemingly are showing their vulnerability and hypocrisy to just change direction and cry foul. And it's mind-boggling that there's no measures in place to limit or to just stop, not even limit, to stop what is happening. I'll say this, Rudy Giuliani, I mean, that was wild. He's in the hospital, and maybe he's out now, I don't know, but he's going around and no mask in it. And I don't know. It's a weird time, some of the stuff we're seeing. So with that being said, I'm going to play a video that I hope explains everything a little bit better, because it is getting to a point where I don't know if we can keep up. So let me cue this video. All right, I think I'm gonna let Rachel Maddow describe the situation. I think she does a pretty good job of breaking stuff down sometimes, and it's not a bias. I don't necessarily adhere to any of these news stations being that great, but we're gonna trust that Rachel's gonna tell us what's happening right here.
It is patently. This is Texas suing Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Michigan over how those other states conducted their elections. Now, why does Texas have anything to say about that? Excellent question. Nevertheless, Texas wants the Supreme Court to throw out the election results from all those states and delay the Electoral College vote next week indefinitely. Throw out all the Electoral College votes from those 4 states. That would, of course, be just enough Electoral College votes thrown out to declare that Joe Biden didn't really win. The election's still a live issue. Trump might get reelected. Now, whether or not you're a lawyer, whether or not you follow Supreme Court jurisprudence, this is as dumb as you think it is. You don't overthink it. States don't get to sue other states for how those other states voted. It just doesn't work that way. And I'm not a lawyer. You don't have to take it from me. You could also take it from Texas's senior Republican U.S. Senator, John Cornyn, who told reporters about this effort today, quote, "I frankly struggle to understand the legal theory of it. Why would a state, even such a great state as Texas, have a say-so on how other states administer their elections?" Why indeed, Senator Cornyn, why indeed? Utah Republican Senator Mitt Romney put a finer point on it tonight in these comments this evening to NBC News.
Madness. It's just simply madness, which is the idea of supplanting the vote of the people with partisan legislators is so completely out of our national character that it's simply mad. Of course, the president has the right to challenge results in court, to have recounts, but this effort to subvert the vote of the people is dangerous and destructive to the cause of democracy.
Dangerous and destructive to the cause of democracy. It's madness. It's madness. It's mad. So that's the Texas case brought to the Supreme Court, which President Trump is using the Kamala Harris birther lawyer to get himself involved in that case, and that's crazy enough. But now 17 other Republican-controlled states have also joined this lawsuit. Do they all have attorneys general who might need a federal pardon? Or are y'all just getting on board? Because this is what we get on board now. 17 Republican-controlled states have now joined this effort, alongside Texas and alongside President Trump, to have the election results thrown out from all the swing states that voted for Biden. 17 states. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, Utah, West Virginia. They're all joining this Texas effort to literally just try to get the conservative justices in the Supreme Court to throw out the election results that say Biden won and instead say Trump won. Their stated reasoning can basically be boiled down to, something seems fishy to us. Y'all ought to look into this. As of today, all 50 U.S. states have certified their election results. The certified results from all 50 states show that Joe Biden got 306 electoral votes. He won by a very large, comfortable margin. He only needed 270 electoral votes to win. He got 306. Every state is certified. It's over. On Earth 1 here, it's over. But now 18 red states are fully on board with trying to get the Supreme Court to throw out that result and declare Trump the winner anyway.
Well, hey, what about? All righty then. Did that clarify anything for anybody? So the best explanation I got from it, and I definitely want to hear from you all, was that there is a segment of the Republican Party that just doesn't give a damn. They don't care to be civil. They're okay with causing dissent and wreaking havoc and testing measures and boundaries that have never been tested before. And it's not a good look as far as what our future looks like, because if they're doing this and they are holding offices, then it doesn't just stop with the election of Joe Biden. And from what I just saw, there all of these efforts to do investigations again, a la what was it, the Benghazi, that they're trying to do that with Joe Biden. Wild times we're in. So Merrill, I'll start with you. Just give me your overall general thoughts, and this is the question that I would like everybody to answer outside of this. Is the Republican Party going to survive what is happening right now?
Yeah, they will. I think there's enough people, right? So I guess there's 74 million people that are okay with this, right? So there's 74 million people that are okay with those tactics. So yeah, they'll be fine. I don't know if they'll ever be able to have a lot of power or be able to retain power or get it back, but the party is going to be fine. I think the thing that is really interesting to me is, like, we talk about the exceptionalism of America and kind of how we've kind of grown up, and that's the kind of what we portray. And like, you look at other countries that have coups and all this wildness and stuff, you're like, oh, well, that'll never happen here. And it's like, that just proves, I mean, we're no different. I mean, we're no different than any other country. You know, it finally happened. So I mean, like, there's a potential, you know, if it can happen in another country, it can happen here. So that's all I'm saying, is like, potential for a coup. We're no different. We're just, you know, we're tribal in nature, and one tribe is up to some stuff.
The democracy is a fragile thing, and integrity, I think, which is integral to any endeavor where the concerns of others are within your grasp, within your influence. You have to have a certain level of integrity, and gosh, that is completely being tossed in a burning trash heap right now.
But it's this flag of justice, though. I mean, so there's a bunch of people that would say, well, no, something was taken from us unjustly.
Yeah. In
their heads. So there's another group doing a show right now with a group of folks that are saying, what are we, you know, what are other people thinking? Why didn't we do this sooner? So
there's lawyers and accountants. Those two types of professions are ones that can be problematic. And what we leave out in all of these elections, generally you're electing lawyers a lot of time. They are very represented in states and in government, small government, and up into the federal government. So they know how to play with all of these things that sometimes and usually have made sense not to play with. But now they're like, hey, we can just try to force this square peg to fit in this round hole, and we'll get it done because we know the law. Or they don't really know the law; they just know how to mess with the law. Danette, what are your overall thoughts, and does the Republican Party survive this?
Yeah, I appreciate that question, and also Meryl's comments. I feel like I'm of a similar spirit that what I would say is that I think this sort of two-party system will survive. It will persist. The question is really what the ideological center is, of the Republican Party. It seemed to swing right, after Obama, the sort of reactionary Tea Party, kind of string got loudest and boldest, and pushed themselves towards the front. But I think they maybe pushed a little too far because it seems like a lot of more moderate so-called conservatives have backed away. I mean, Romney, he was the fascist to me for so long. And so to hear him, in a number of instances, pushing it back against, the more extreme, I think is significant. So the question is, what will be the ideological center, of the other side, in another 4 years or 8 years or 12 years, but there'll always be another side, But I think I really resonate with Meryl's point in terms of the new lows that we are establishing, for this political system, the new precedents, in the courtroom and outside of it, that I assume will become common, thanks to Donald Trump. And I think, yeah, I mean, in some ways it's almost, there was a lot of naivete, I feel like, around this idea of the United States as exceptional and above the fray, and sort of impenetrable and invulnerable in these ways because of our systems, right? And to me, the fact that a person like Donald Trump, who was so thoroughly unfit, for office in every imaginable way, by every measure except whiteness and maleness and wealth, was unfit. The fact that he made his way in should have been a real red flag, for what it meant for our political systems, and that he could do the damage he's done, and that he could, survive impeachment, et cetera, et cetera. And now, it's just a fucking hot mess, and so I feel like, yeah, it is a reality check for a lot of folks. It's humbling, and it's been a wake up call for a lot of people. I guess the real big question is, what will we do about it, and what can be done at this point,
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful response. So there is a game afoot, as I've heard somewhere in some movie or something. There's a game afoot, and the rules are ever changing. So just when you think you've made sense of something and this is the move you should make with your piece, the board switches around, and you end up going to jail and don't get your $200 or whatever. It is an amazing time to really bear witness to what America truly is again. We only had, and Danette, I think we're close in age, and Meryl, I know we're close in age. It is our lifetime that we had this moment of possibility for all, or it seemingly being accessible, the American dream being accessible to all. It's been in our lifetimes. My mother went to a segregated school. My dad went to segregated school. Civil rights activity was heavy in their youth. But we had this moment where it seemed like everybody could access everything. And hoping and dreaming and wishing with Obama, which Danette, I'm very much, I'm a hammer and he's a nail sometimes. So I probably needed to warn you of that. Yeah, but it's pretty bad. And I'm not trying to go there today. I'm going to stop. So we had this moment where we actually elected a president that had melanin. And right after that, the car went off the road and into the ditch of despair and backwards thinking. And good gracious, just think if he had been an actual progressive, how much it could have been better, might have been better, but who knows? We don't get to see what we thought we were going to see. Julia and Greg, your thoughts? Does the Republican Party survive after all of this? And what are your thoughts on the clip? Got to unmute yourself.
That is such a good question and really resonate with what Meryl and Danette said. It's like, when you start a diet, you don't have to worry about that, Felton, but, you slip, and then you make another slip. And it seems like that's what's happened. What we have accepted as normal, we're accepted. The bar keeps lowering and lowering, and it's frightening. I'm going to admit this, that I grew up in a Republican household, and people I love are still Republican. And that is so challenging right now. My own mother, but she doesn't accept Trump's behavior, but she thinks that he's getting some things done. But I think if she'd had an alternative, a third party, and that's what I keep hoping for, that there's going to be a middle way established somehow and even Romney, I was like Danette, that I was not a Romney fan at all, but at least he has integrity, right? I think he has some values. And yeah, it might be debatable, and they're self-serving, perhaps, but I think he and Ben Sasse, and there's some Republicans that at least have a moral compass, kind of. I'm lost.
Greg, what you think? It's okay. Look, this is a time where answers don't come easily. They really don't. What you think, Greg?
Well, if we're going to go back to ancient history and talk about our parents, my mother was a Democrat. My father was Republican, and they could coexist. And back in those days, that was common. Now it's not. Everything has become very politicized. I mean, even the vaccine is politicized. So it's an indication of the conditions of the time. It's beyond just political standings and beliefs and that kind of thing. I believe that we have fallen asleep, and it's going to be an awakening at some point. But I believe that a large part of the population has simply fallen asleep. We're sleepy time. And I mentioned this to a friend about 4 years ago when Trump was elected. I said, I believe that it is sleepy time in America, and there will be a price to pay, and it's coming.
So yeah, last week I think the theme of the show was "Is everything debatable?" or something like that, and that is where we seemingly have. That's the line we've crossed. That anything can be disputed, anything is worth the argument, and I don't know how we come back from that at this point. Rationale, critical thinking, those things have to be practiced. Humility has to be practiced, and as long as there's a profit motive, I think we jeopardize all of those things. It's just that's something that we're going to come to in a moment when we lighten things up. I have another clip I want to play, and if anybody has anything else they want to add, feel free. But I have one more clip, and it's an old clip. It's something that popped up on my Twitter. I'm not familiar with the guy who's saying what he's saying, but I think it lends itself to what Julia mentioned as far as the potential for another party to come out of this thing. I don't know that the Republican Party survives as we know it. Of course, it's transformed just like the Democrats did at a certain period of time. Gregory, I'm sure the Democrats were probably more so the racist and problematic party at the time that your mother was one. And the Republicans actually had the support of African Americans for a number of years because the party of Lincoln, of course. That changed in the 50s. So the clip I'm going to play, and I think it's from 1984, so this is an old clip, but it's a guy who actually is speaking about how beholden the Black Americans are to the Democratic Party and why it's problematic. He's actually saying this during the time that Jesse Jackson was running for president, and he's saying one of my favorite words that I actually don't like: symbolism. And that needs to die. It's got to go away. So let me cue this up. I think you'll enjoy the clip.
I'd like Mr. Brown's comment on that.
I was hoping you wouldn't. Well, I believe, first of all, that there is little, if any, chance of Jesse Jackson winning. And I think we all ought to be mature enough to know what we're talking about when we talk about what he's doing. It's a symbolic run he's making. And I think the positives that Anita pointed out are definitely there. Anything that will inspire blacks to be a part of this process is going to be beneficial to blacks. But I think the larger question is not a black candidacy. The larger question is the Democratic Party. Now, if 90% of blacks are Democrats, and the Democratic Party has rules, party caucuses, winner take all, it's loaded for the front runner, it's loaded against any black person winning. And if the logic is, and I'm not making a case for Jesse Jackson, but if the logic is no black should run because you'll take votes away from the white front runner, then we're assuring ourselves for the next zillion years of always having a white front runner. And I think blacks are very suspicious of the Republican Party, and they should be. But I think the fault is the black community is not suspicious enough of the Democratic Party, and it does not demand enough of the Democratic Party. And if I may say one last thing, I would support Jesse Jackson if he were running for a different reason. If he were running against the Democratic Party, I would support him as a black candidate. If he is running next March to turn over his followers to the white man who wins the nomination, then I will see no change in the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party at some point in time has to be shaken out of its racist attitudes. And it has to be during one of these 4-year periods shown that it did not get the black vote. And because it didn't get the black vote, it didn't win the presidency. When that happens, it will change. I don't see any hope of the Republican Party embracing a black agenda at all.
I'd like Mr. Brown.
So, yeah, and of course, we had Obama since then, but that's still tragically not what he's speaking about, right? He's talking about the lack of significant transformative things taking place for the black voter that is beholden and has been, what is that? That's 26 years since that was no, that's 36 years, right? Yeah, it's 36 years since that was made. So yeah, it's still a thing. There's a beholdenness to the party for African Americans, for Black Americans. And there's nothing truly transformative that we get for it, it seems. A lot of symbolism. I know Joe Biden's trying to get, I think, the leader of the military, an African-American man. That's not something that impacts domestic ventures in the nation, the cities, the states. And then there's this talk of I know that there's a push by Claiborne, who helped him get the nomination in South Carolina, to get a attorney general that's black. I hate that so much of Black American life seems to be tied up in the justice system, the failed justice system. And I hate that that's where they think they have to go to show us that they're thinking about us. Yeah, that's some atrocious behaviors that take place for Black people to experience the criminal justice system. However, that's not all that we are. And again, if we talk about economics, then maybe we really truly do some transformative things for African Americans. With that part being said, I want to share this, but you guys feel free to unmute yourselves if you have any thoughts or comments about what I just played. Danette, I know you probably have something steering, so feel free.
No, I really don't, but I'm so glad that y'all didn't hear me snort when I laughed just now. Inelegant, to say the least.
It's okay. So something I wanted to share, and I often bring up reparations here too, Danette. I think that's really, we're way past time for that conversation. And ADOS movement is something I recognize and appreciate. We've had some conversations around it, and I think a really wonderful opportunity is showing itself, and hopefully it stays up. But Yvette Carnell, someone I have a great amount of respect for, is supposed to be speaking at Yale on December 14th. So that is something I would say you should be able to find real easily. But so that's next week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. If you have the time and you have the connection, I would recommend that you guys look into listening to what she has to say. She's really awesome and well-versed and knowledgeable on why reparations is more than likely, and she would say definitely, the only way to fix the racial wealth gap here in America. And I mean, quite honestly, it makes us a better place. And that's something that I'm struggling to get my mind around is why do we seem to not want to be better? And it's just something that I wrestle with, because it makes no sense to take pleasure, in my opinion, in seeing other members of your wonderful, great nation in dire straits. And that doesn't mean we adhere to some charitable mentality and always be a cheerful giver type thing. It means that we have a government that recognizes where the nation is weak and addresses these things. We pay taxes to a government that should know this over here is going to make us a less strong domestically nation. Let's go invest in that, whether it's public education, whether it's specifically the Black community, whether it's housing for homeless people. There are a lot of things that just make sense to do here, but we just don't seem to get on board with it. Anybody else have anything they want to say before I play my last clip now? Meryl, I hope you're still there, but this will be the one for you that concerns the boxing. And for me, I'm playing it also because I think it speaks to where we are as far as media and the power of media and how it can be corrosive, because everybody has a microphone and everybody's trying to get views and everybody's trying to say something that's controversial or supposedly funny, jovial, but it's purely like, I can't lose if I get everyone's attention by saying something that may be really silly to say. So I do have to set this up. I don't know if you all were around to see, was it last Saturday or the Saturday before last? Saturday before last, Mike Tyson returned to the ring against Roy Jones Jr. Now, on the undercard, there was a fight between Nate Robinson and I think the guy's name is Jake Paul. He's a internet personality, or he's got a following. That's all you have to have these days. If you got a following, you can make a living. So Nate Robinson got knocked silly. He's a former basketball player. It was pretty bad to watch, but Jamel Hill and Kerry Champion had Jake Paul on their show. And while they say they were trying to be funny, it comes across as really just problematic to me and a lot of other folks. Yeah, you have to go back and watch that yourself tonight. I'm not going to play the clip of the knockout, but I'm going to play Kerry Champion and Jamel Hill, and hopefully you guys get where I'm trying to take this.
To be honest, I almost started to protest this show because
why?
I'll tell you why. And this is our question of the week. We saw what happened to Nate Robinson, so I'm going to ask Jake Paul right here in front of America. Jake, consider where we are right now in our racial conversation in America. Was what you did to Nate Robinson racist?
That is the question of the week.
Man.
Nah, stop playing with me. Come on.
Listen, Jake, it's a sensitive time right now. We just had to witness a white man just knock a black man smooth out in front of all of America. So that's why I asked that. But just tell us about that moment real quick, because it looked like Nate was asleep before he ever even hit the canvas.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we train for. You know, at the end of the day, boxing's a sport. And, you know, you train to win. And that's what I went in there and did. And I worked hard for this. And, you know, Nate is the one who called me out originally. So
I think he is frozen.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you guys now.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay,
my Wi-Fi is unstable, like my relationship.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
First and foremost, was it racist to knock a black man out? That is the question of the week.
No, stop asking me that. I said no.
It's not racist.
It's a shitty question. It's a sport.
Why is it a shitty question? Why is it a shitty question?
Because how does this have anything to do with race? It doesn't.
It's a fine question. We got to wake you up. You got to be a part of this conversation.
That's right.
It's like, because if you can go from
He's slipping.
You
know what? He just hit himself harder than Nate Robinson ever hit him.
Yeah, if you can go.
So yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Leave the comedy to the comedians, or better yet, if you're going to purport yourself to be one thing, then don't try to be the other. Jamel Hill has put herself out there as a conscionable journalist who's concerned about politics and racial relations here in our great country. But then you say something that's stupid 3 times. And it was like a force. So this is where I say we're going down a slippery slope in terms of what media is being allowed to do in certain ways and who's doing it. And it seems that there's a pure, just like, give me some attention for this. I can't go wrong no matter what. And one of the key caveats, which I definitely want to engage you on the net, is something I think we've kind of had these conversations in the class. Is 2 Black women. So they're somewhat insulated by their ability to play that little game and say that silliness. And then when they're critiqued, it can the defense can always be, but you know, other people do it and they get away with it and it's not a problem. And look at all of the guys that say stuff all the time and this, that, and the other. I've found myself fascinated by our seeming desire to race to the bottom in certain categories. And I mean that from representations in media, from representations in the workforce. There seems to be a desire to say, because they do this thing that is kind of despicable, we should be allowed to do that too, as opposed to they do this thing that's despicable. Let's do something better. I've seen that, whether it's minorities or whether it's and the minorities include women, I guess. So you get what I'm saying. It's just if they do it, we should be able to do it too. And it's fascinating. But Danette, go first. We got 9 minutes. I want to hear your response to that. What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so the interesting thing is I follow Jamel. I do not follow Carrie. I follow Jamel on Twitter, and I saw her engaging a number of folks who were like, "That's not a good joke," kind of thing, and even folks who didn't take it as a joke, or and I, so I saw her response, but I had no idea what it was about until now. So thank you for that. So to be honest, it's not a great joke, but it is an obvious joke. In the political moment that we are in, it is low-hanging fruit. I will agree with you, but it seems like a really obvious joke. It seems like if Jamel and Carrie didn't make it, somebody was going to. And I think this idea that like they're credible journalists or they're credible sports journalists or they're comedians, I don't think that line really exists. I feel like throughout sort of ESPN or sports journalism, everybody is trying to be a comedian. Carrie probably walks a more serious line than Jamel, but I don't think that line exists. But do I think it's low hanging fruit? Yes. Do I think that it's not really very funny? Yes. I certainly don't think the YouTube guy was in on the joke, which troubles the water about the idea that it is a joke, because he's some white dude who's trying to engage this, discourse about like, am I racist because I knocked this black dude out?
Give me 1 second, Danette, and I'm going to come back to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I forgot. Meryl has to go, and I definitely wanted him to say a couple words before he has to go, and it's because this was for him. This was to get you in the box.
I'll just say a couple of things. I mean, like, wow. So yeah, I know a little bit about Jake Paul, and so there's like some questionable stuff that he says and has done. I mean, he drops N-bombs. He doesn't care. He's a big dude too, so it's. I guess my simple take on it is like, that's a funny IG Twitter joke. Like that's a funny one-liner, like you said, Danette. It's easy, low-hanging fruit. But man, like for a TV show, and then for Carrie to kind of hold on to it, right? And she got a little defensive, and he was like, "What are you bringing this up for?" I mean, it's. And I don't think it should eliminate them from being able to have political discourse, but it's just in poor taste. I mean, and that's what you get when you are a public figure. Just be ready for the slings and arrows. But I mean, it just didn't land well. But I don't think it keeps them from, because Jamel does do some real serious work. I mean, I love the stuff she does on the Atlantic and in Undefeated. And she's, a deep thinker, and she's better than that.
Jamel, and she gets dragged like constantly. Yeah. She's not.
Oh, and she comes. People come for her, but she comes right back for him.
That's
so
right.
I love.
But she technically doesn't. I firmly believe that her thing is to say silly stuff, which she's the reason for the hashtag Blame Black Men. That became a thing because of her. And she says something, then she just fades away and says a little bit here in the comments. But see, she's working for an entity that just requires her to have followers and have shows that she's a person that can get people to click on her stuff. And that's a level of insincerity that I think is becoming a profit motive.
But I love that agency that she has, though. I mean, like, I wish she hadn't done that, but I love the fact that she's not under that institutional thumb. And like what she did whatever she, all the stuff that happened to ESPN is what it is. But now she picks and chooses her projects, and she has ownership. So like all her stuff, she owns. I mean, I wish she would do better with it. But I love to see a melanated person like not have to answer the institution. I love it.
I agree, and she lost her job behind that. So you can't say she's beyond critique.
Okay, yeah. So for one, that's becoming another thing to be an excuse to just be blind supporters is, you're going to criticize somebody that's black. But what I want to say about her that really made me become more critical was during that whole back and forth thing with Ice Cube. She had him on her show beforehand, talking about whatever his document was, help. I forget what it was called, Black American. So, but then when he went and met with some members of the Trump organization, because the Democrats said, wait, she didn't re-engage from that perspective. She just said he was a problem, and that's when the whole hashtag blame black men really took off.
Be held to task.
Well,
I appreciate it.
Have a good night, Meryl. Take care, and we'll see you on the other side.
We got one more show for the end of the year, right? One more show.
Next week is going to be the last one of 2020. So,
all right. Hope to see you guys next week.
Yeah, hopefully. Take care, Meryl.
Meryl, before you leave, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
We participated in the program with Portia and the Afro Ag.
Yes.
Thumbs up.
Awesome.
Enough. You got to know it. If you haven't looked at it, you got to look at it. There's a lady who is on there, Ivory.
Okay. Ivory.
She's incredible. She's at AT&T, and she's part of the program there, and you got to know her. She is a bright light.
Okay, I will, and hopefully we can. You guys, both of you, you and Julie and Danette, join us this coming Saturday. So.
Yeah, I will tell them again, and All right. Take care, Meryl.
Right.
Yeah, so definitely while we won't segue completely, we'll come back because I wanted to hear you guys' thoughts. I know it's just a crazy topic because if you don't know who they're talking about and what have you, but you can definitely speak on whether you thought it was tasteful or not. But yeah, make sure you come this Saturday if you're not doing anything for the Achievers. I'm going to keep it about positive thinking and not carrying your own water into 2020. We'll talk about it. But go ahead. You can unmute yourself, Greg, if you have any thoughts on the little clip I just played.
You know, I really don't, Felton.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
I'm sorry. You know, I'm still thinking about what was just shared before Meryl had the part. I hope everybody gets a chance to review what we saw on Saturday and what Portia and the others had produced. And it's a very nice program.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely will.
Program. But there was see, here's the difference. We're talking and we're giving airtime to this lady, to these events. And then there was this other young lady, Ivory, who is worth 1,000,000 times more airtime we're talking about right now. I wish you could have heard this and seen this young lady.
See, that sentiment is where I reside, right? I feel like the wrong people for the wrong reasons, or let me say the wrong reasons might get the right people also, because I think Jemele Hill is valuable in what she has done. I think she's done some great works, but I think once you get to a certain point of profitability or profit motive, everybody's, I won't say corruptible, but everybody can sell out some, in my opinion. But yeah, I won't be too harsh because, one day it could be me and I would welcome it, but they don't have to. They just block you. They just don't listen to you. So they only hear support. As we wind down and wrap up, Danette, do you have anything that you want to finish stating? Because I forgot Meryl had to go. I should have started with him.
No, not really. I do want to engage this conversation around reparations at some point, but that's not a wrap up kind of comment. I just feel like it's such an important conversation, and you and I have touched around it, but we've never really gotten into it.
Well, it comes up quite a bit here, and I keep mentioning Dr. William Sandy Darity's From Here to Equality is a really good fleshed out work. Everything that I read, being a historian, when it comes to the Black American experience, everything that I read runs back into the narrative that centers around reparations for me. And it's not something I say willy-nilly. It's not something that I take lightly. It is something that every bit of research that I've done, there's a thread that leads right back to it. Yeah. And we'll definitely talk about that some more than that. There's a class that if Dr. Gasson offers it again, you'll see the same patterns. And it's about urban spaces, housing. There's a really good book if you get an opportunity and you want to check something out. It's called Race for Profit. Keeanga Yamada Taylor. Really good book. yeah, with all of that being said, as always, I greatly appreciate Greg and Julia for occupying some space and time with me. And Danette, thank you for joining. It's been a long time coming. Next Thursday will be the last one of the year, as we stated. And this Saturday, if you're not doing anything, come on and join us, and we'll have a couple of good conversations with the young people. Otherwise, everyone have a wonderful night, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves. And
Better jump in.
Thank
Can
you.
I say something real quick?
oh yeah, of course, Julia. Yes.
Great. I just want to say, if you're an early riser, we definitely want to attend the Achievers Zoom meeting, but it's 7 a.m. from are you familiar with the Beloved Community Church
Yes.
Community Center in Greensboro?
Mm-hmm.
They're having a caravan at 7 a.m. for Marcus Smith.
Okay.
And they're going to have a rally, I think, to kind of protest his killing, and it's being led by Nelson and Joyce Johnson. If you're an early riser.
If I'm an early riser, is that Saturday? Only thing about that is me being back where I need to be by 11. That's the only thing, and I'm going to be by myself this week on it. So I don't know, but yeah, very familiar with those guys and what they do, and yeah, it's necessary. But
spread the word.
Will do. And if you guys make it, great. If not, we'll catch you in the new year for that. But I'll see you next Thursday, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see you.
All right. All right. Y'all have a good one. Have a wonderful night. Danette, take care.